Good morning! Welcome to Natasha Makes. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. Right, have we got some goodies for you today? Today is the day that we launch Stripology rulers. Yay! Welcome, welcome. You too can become a Natasha stripper. Yes, you can. Now, Creative Grids is a brand that I feel very passionately about, based in the UK, a UK company, family-run company, and what they create is fantastic. They are creating rulers that are safe, that are durable, they have longevity, and also they are made by quilters for quilters. So we have those on the website loaded up, ready for you to go today, which is super exciting. I'm going to take you through. If you have wondered what on earth we talk about when we talk about Natasha strippers, then I will explain all of that in just a moment, and I will show you how those rulers work, because I'm going to be using them in a project for you this morning. So not only am I launching the Stripology rulers, but I'm also launching for you some gorgeous Lewis and Irene fabrics, which again, UK company, family run company. This is the ethos that I want to build into the company here, because we're a family company here. It's lovely to work with other family run companies around the UK, and that's really important for me. So if we can all support each other, then it's absolutely lovely. Lewis and Irene is named after the grandparents it's basically Hannah and Ben that run the company now, and it was their father set up the company. It was named after his parents, their grandparents, and the history of the company is really lovely. They're based down in down south near Southampton, and there's always a story behind each of the collections. Now, I feel incredibly lucky because Hannah actually, she has a little boy, a couple of years older than Freddie, which is great because she then gets inspiration for things for Felix that actually Freddie then coming along is like, this is perfect. So we saw them at, I think it was Festival of Quilts last year, and Hannah had made this amazing dinosaur tail, and Freddie was like, yeah, he had it on round their stand. So if ever you go to any of the shows, go and look at Lewis and Irene. They're generally next to the gin bar or somewhere. They're very sensibly placed, let's put it that way. Now, last night, after Freddie went to bed, I made this, and this is the fabric that we are launching today, and it is glow in the dark. Now, as yet, I don't have a way to show you the glow in the dark. I've ordered a special torch, hasn't arrived yet. So when it does, I'll just do a little Facebook thing so that you can see. But I'll talk you through the fabrics, and what I've put together for you is a fat quarter bundle of 6 of the range together, and that way you can make a quilt top, you could make cushion covers, there's lots that you can make out of it. You could do floor cushions, you could do bean bags, it gives you scope. You can do bunting, all those kinds of things. And that was what I wanted to, rather than say, and here's the pattern, I want to show you how to make something like this, which you could then make into a quilt top or a bean bag or whatever you want to do with it. So this is the pattern that I'm gonna show you this morning, and it's just 4 blocks. And actually, lovely lady that I met through Lewis and Irene, Sally Ablett, I believe her name is. She does a lot of quilt design work, but she'll never come on air. She sat down with me. She's like, right, with this pattern, why don't you da 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 da? And so this is partly thanks to her, this design as well. And I wanted to show you what it would look like with a bright orange border. I love, this is from the Bumbleberries range, but it just brings out the highlights in there. I think it's great. But then same block, different way of using it. And there we have it. So that could be 2 different cushions that you could have out of this fat quarter bundle. And you've also got loads left over here, which I will show you in just a minute. So we're basically going to see how far this fat quarter kit will stretch, because it will go an awfully long way. Somebody said, Natasha, do bunting. Show us how to make bunting. We know you love bunting. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I'll show you some of that. There's a Creative Grids ruler that will help for that as well, which we will be loading up onto the system later. So yeah, that's how this morning is panning out. Nice, simple thing. If you basically have boys or girls of any age that love space, this is the one because it glows in the dark. And I will highlight the glow in the dark aspects for you. It's really hard, actually, I've discovered, to take a photo of something glowing in the dark, because as soon as you use a flash, it's no longer dark. Yeah, that was last night's fun. Turns out not really very good at it. So let's pop that over there to one side and let me show you these fabrics, because you will be getting a fat quarter of each of these, and a fat quarter goes a very long way. So I'm going to switch to close-up mode. This is your, so this is the bumblebees. Now this is all 100% cotton, really lovely white cotton. And so I chose this because you've got kind of, well, this is one of their blenders, is how Lewis and Irene pitched this, as one of their blenders. But it's great because it's bright, it's colourful, they look like planets, and you don't have to have that exact colour. So very, very handy one to have in there. I'm not normally an orange kind of a gal, but I was all over that. Now, also I have for you, to get a fat quarter of that. Then this one here, look at this. How much fun is this one? Let me show you that. So you see all of the orbit rings, where are we? These. All of these orbit rings, they all glow in the dark. And basically any bits that are white on there, glow in the dark. That's your glow in the dark bit. So it's fabulous. It all comes to light. So you've got, basically this is our solar system here. There it is. So there's your sun in the middle, Mars. Let's go around. Next one will be Venus. There's Earth there. Yep. All in there. So I love the fact that it's actually, it's correct. You know, it is kind of factually correct as well. So the next one to show you, and this is, oh, this is lovely. I love this one. So with this fabric, this gives you all the constellations, and they're accurate. And that's what I love, the detail in here. They could have just stuffed any old thing in here. No, no, no. They've made it accurate. And so again, the white there glows in the dark. So if you've got, I mean, Freddie loves space. My son absolutely adores space. Anything to do with space. You know, he collects. We have built more solar systems than I know what to do with, quite frankly. There's another one in a box ready to make as well. So this is absolutely perfect for him. And the fact that it's factually correct, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Love that, in that gorgeous tealy blue. Right, next one is this. This is your shooting stars. And the stars are glow in the dark. That is what you're getting here. The stars will glow in the dark. So you've got these gorgeous shooting stars that glow, which is just fab. So that's a really nice one. And it's peaceful, it's restful, it's good fun. Now the next one that I want to show you is here. This one is a little bit different. So a little bit space agey, which we like. But the glow in the dark bit, if you have a look in here, let me show you this one. They certainly look like spaceships, because it's not this grey bit down here that glows in the dark. It's this top bit. So you get the spaceman in there. So these ones, but that one, so that one again, they look like spaceships. It's very, very clever. And your rockets glow in the dark as well. They're just so much fun. And then the last one to show you in the range that you're getting in your kit is this one here. And I just called this one rockets. And so you get your shooting stars and your rockets in there, which we absolutely love. So that is your Lewis and Irene fat quarter range. And it's from the new collection called Light Years. And this only came out, what day did it arrive? Less than a week ago. I took delivery of this less than a week ago, which is super exciting. So you're getting it here. And like I say, I've made these little collections for you. And I went through all the colourways and thought, ooh, what do I want to do with that? So that's what I've done for you. And I really hope you like it because Lewis and Irene are a really lovely brand and the quality is spectacular. And when I put this up last night on Facebook that this was what I was working on, the number of people were like, ooh, I think if you have a grandchild or a child of any shape, size or description, it's perfect, absolutely perfect. So that was my thinking on it. And what I will do then is we'll start to have a little cut into some of this, and I'm doing a bit of housekeeping as we go. So left over from the cushion, let's just talk about this. So left over from the cushion, bearing in mind this, I cut myself a fat quarter kit. Left over from the cushion, so I've got a front and I've got another front. So if you just did like a plain blue or black backing, then you would get two cushions out of that. Also, left over from that, I also have some quite sizable chunks. So each one of these, now that's going to do some bunting, isn't it? Yes, it will. So I've got all of those to go as well. I just don't have the orange one because I did some sashing, extra sashing in the orange. But I've also got scraps as well. So I've got little offcuts again. You know, you can do all sorts of things with these. Look, all of these, I've got offcuts, and I would probably make those into little squares with my stripology, and then have them to work with. So for me, yes, I've got all of these. Look at all this mess. All of these, I will just take that. What we have here is obviously a lovely collection, but also with the rulers, you've suddenly got charm packs, you have got jelly rolls, you've got anything like that that you want to create for yourself. Because we all know that buying pre-cuts is a slightly more expensive way to buy fabric. So if you can buy a range like fat quarters, and then from your leftovers create charm packs and things like that, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So let's take a look at how we would do that then. We're going to start off with, I've got all sorts of rulers to show you today, but the main one, and I know a lot of you have watched me use this in the past, and there'll be some of you that I know have watched me on Hochanda and gone, what is that ruler that you are using, Natasha? And this is it. So I'm going all out. The story behind this is I did a show with Lucy Brennan, I remember it vividly, and in that, we were doing, I think it was a racer quilt or something, where you cut 2.5 strips, sew them all together, lovely. And I hated cutting. I absolutely hated cutting. I was so nervous of rotary cutters because I didn't know how to use them properly, and it just wasn't something that I felt comfortable doing. The rulers that I'd used up until this moment had just slipped all over the place, so I'd wasted fabric, it didn't feel safe. I was like, no, cutting is not for me, which meant that I wasn't going to progress with my quilt making or anything like that because I didn't feel safe cutting. And if you don't feel safe cutting, then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So when this came out, it was an absolute game changer. And what I'll do is I'll pop it on my cutting mat and I will move that across so that you can see that on here. Key and paramount for me is safety. It is a running joke in our family that I am health and safety Tash, and things have to be safe. So the very first thing that you'll notice, oh, wrong way, there we go. With your creative grid, I'm going to have to move my cushion and my cup of tea. Hang on. Right, there we go. Paramount for me was safety. That way. It's a big ruler, isn't it? I'm going to take that off there. There we go. Here we go. There we go. Right. Now, As soon as that is down, what you can see is these sort of opaque bits here, and that is your inbuilt non-slip grip. Okay, so as soon as that is down on fabric, push that, and that is not moving anywhere, and that is all through these strips here. Now what you've got is 0, half, 1, half, 1.5, 2.5, all the way through it. So every ½ inch increment, you have got a little slot there. It's kind of teardrop shape, can you see? And you put your blade, your rotary cutter blade in there, and then that is your guide. So you cannot go wrong. You've got all of that non-slip grip in there, holding your fabric, pinning it down so it's not going to move anywhere, no matter how small the piece is that you're using. And then you can't help but cut straight lines. On top of that, creative grids know, because they are quilters making for quilters, right? They know the most used size strips. So if you buy a jelly roll pack, then you will be cutting 2.5-inch strips. So every time you see a square down the bottom, here, 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 all the way along, and this goes up to 20 inches, you can put your rotary cutter in and know that you are cutting a 2.5-inch strip. Genius. Genius. Every time you see a star, that is a 1.5-inch strip. So you've got star there, star there, star there, star there. Because let's face it, we go 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6. After that, I've lost interest in trying to count. All the way up. They are marked all the way up. It is blooming brilliant. Love it. Absolutely love it. And can you see under here, you've got all of your markers, and then this is a 10-inch square, which is so handy. So suddenly you can cut yourself layer cakes. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Love a layer cake. And there it is. There is your 10-inch square, which is such a handy size as well. You've also got in here, you've got your 45 and your 60-degree line, so you can cut your diamonds, you can cut your bias binding, you can cut all of those with just one ruler, which is just fab. Absolutely brilliant. So we're going to see, well, let's cut some stuff, shall we? Let's just simply cut some stuff. Not my pressing mat, because that would be very sad. Be very sad indeed. Let's not do that. Right. So let's get these. Not those. Let's get the. Here we go. These ones. Okay. So I am going to cut. So when you get your fabric, there's your selvage edge. Just line that up. Often from where it's folded, then, you know, you've already got a straight line. Pop your ruler on top there. Okay. And what I'm going to do when I use it is line the, because you've got lines all the way along here, every ½ inch again. I'm just going to line up my bottom line along there with my fabric, so I know that my fabric is straight. Now that means that all of a sudden the fabric down there, it isn't quite straight or anything like that, so I would just cut it, just remove it, and then I'm flush at 0 and I am good to go. Now I know that for the thing that I want to do with you guys, I need a 3.5-inch strip, so I will put in at 3.5 inches there, cut it, and look, it's cut. It is done. Now, if I wanted to go on and make myself some jelly roll strips or anything like that, then again, I line it up. And if I want to, then I can just go in 2.5. There's my square. I'll go in again there. And then there's my square again. In again. There's my square again there. In I go again. And so on and so forth, all the way up my fabric. You see, it's not moving, which is fab. And then when I take that off, look at that. My 2.5-inch strips cut perfectly every single time. So I can now start to create all of that. Now, what if I wanted to do, I wanted to make myself some little charm packs. Now they could be 5 inches, they could be whatever size I want it to be. But if I wanted to now make these into little squares so that I can do that, then again, I'm going every square. Now, this goes up in ½ inch increments. So I'm just using 2.5 because that's a size that we're used to seeing, used to using. But look at that. And all of a sudden, I have got all of these, and of course layer up as well, layer up, but it just makes cutting so much quicker and easier. And then I've got all of those little squares that I can do checkerboards with, or anything that I want. Let's cut then the next bit that I'm going to use. So again, I will cut the fabric in the same way. So I will take my selvage and I will fold, and I will put this on here. I will line it up along the bottom there. And just when I'm doing this, I'm just having a look down here. This is my 0, and I want to make sure that even when that fabric is folded, I've got just a little bit of left over there. And on here, I just want that 3.5 inch. And there it is, done. Quick, easy, done. Brilliant, love it. Now, if I feel confident, then I can layer it up. Yes, of course I can. And if I want to, then I can also layer it up like that. But just make sure that when you cut it, you're cutting it square. So always line your bottom line up if you want to do it that way. Or if I want to cut other fabrics on there as well, then I can fold that up. Right, okay. Fold that up. Often, you see here, that's where the fold would have been coming off the bolt. So actually what I'll do is I will stay true to that and fold it like that. So if I want to cut through multiple layers, then all of a sudden I can. And again, I'm going to line up my bottom along there. I'm going to cut off those edge bits there. Make sure that I'm nicely aligned. Again, it's 3.5 inches that I want there. And there it is, done. 3.5 inches, done. Really easy. I've got 2 more fabrics left to do. So you think when you're making up a quilt or anything like that, the cutting is often the bit that takes the most time, isn't it? But if you can just whiz through that and do it safely and accurately, how joyful would that be? I love this ruler. I use it every single day that I am in my workroom. Honestly, it comes out every single day. I can't really remember. I just didn't cut without it. Right, okay, let's line those up on there. I'm going to take off those edges just in case they're not neat. Again, into 0, cut up. And again, you can see it's not moving anywhere. And that's the joy of it. So I'm completely safe to do this. And then 3.5 inches, done. Now, if you were using a standard ruler, you'd still be flipping stuff here, there and everywhere, wouldn't you? But it's done. It is all done, which is great. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is actually line these up, because what I want next, there we go, look at these, easy, is I want 2 3.5. And what I'll do is, if I've got a selvage, I'll line the selvages up. So you can start to cut through layers. Once you feel confident, cut through layers. It just makes your prep so much easier. And people say to me, oh, Natasha, how many hours do you have in your day? And it's not that I have any extra hours in the day, obviously. It's just that I've got the right tools for the job. So suddenly, prepping for shows doesn't take as long. I was a firm believer when we had sewing quarter that every single guest should have had one of these rulers just to help their prep time. There we go. Right, so I've got those. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to line up my edge along there, along one of those lines. I'm just going to make sure that all of those edges there are nice and straight. And then I'm going to take 3.5. I need another 3.5. So 3.5 plus 3.5 is 7. And then, if you don't want to do your maths on top of that, I need a 6.5 inch strip for the rest of my my quilt, so I can realign my 0 there, 6.5 in there, and that is all of the cutting. Got that left over. All of the cutting done for what we're going to do next. Now, we're going to create these blocks. I'm going to take 2 of these, because they're all in order, right? They're all in order. I'm going to take 2 of those and put them to the bottom. there. I'm going to take one of these and put that to the bottom there. And then that should mean that I'm going to have something different every time. And if you are someone that doesn't do random, doesn't know how to do random, this is a great way to do it. Okay, so then all I'm going to do now, I'm going to put my ruler to one side, bring out my pressing mat, and bring out my little iron, move these across, and we're just going to sew. And it's going to be incredibly simple. I'm going to move my iPad to there so that I can change shot for you nice and easily. And then I'm going to literally just flip that down onto there and sew 1/4 of an inch. Of course, I've just taken my extension foot off, haven't I? And you can chain piece these should you wish. So I will go across to the machine and let's sew. Now, what I have instantly done is I have shortened my stitch length to 2. There we go, that's what I'm trying to say. Now let me get, and again, so this is chain piecing. This is what we call chain piecing. Super easy to do. Just means that one after the other, you're cutting them, you're piecing them, you're sewing them, and it just means you're not stop-starting the whole time. Now the beauty about these prints is that they are non-directional. So if you are just starting out, then you don't have to worry about if things are going in the right directions. I always think that cushions that are going on little ones' beds or anything like that, they're going to get thrown around the place, aren't they? The number of times I'm like, Freddie, I did not hand make those cushions for you to just lob them around the place, is the general conversation. So let's pick our arguments, is what I've now decided. Pick my argument and just go, okay, fine, just throw it all around the place, and I will make sure that whenever it does land on a bed, it doesn't matter which way up it is, it looks fabulous. He's going to be so excited when he gets home from school and sees this. So excited. I think he was a little bit upset last week that Emily got the bird cushion. And it wasn't really his thing. Although he does tell me that I haven't made Emily enough stuff. I'm like, all right, all right. There we go. So now we're going to take that back to our mat and snip them and press them. Oh, hang on, I've got snips. What am I doing? Here we go. So, snip, 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 snip. Now they will be in the correct order now, if the plan works, to then just go straight onto that. So as soon as I've pressed these, I'll know that this can go onto that one and we're all good. So pressing a seam, set the seam, turn it over, knock it back. I'm using my House of Alistair pressing mats. We are starting to get quite limited on these, but as you can see, it has done me such a fabulous seam. Such a fabulous seam. I just love this, absolutely love this. And then I'm just going to pop that onto there and put that to one side, ready to then batch cut. Now, am I worrying about whether I press to the dark side or anything like that? No, not really. Not really today. You can do, but it's just deciding which is the dark side, really. These are not flimsy fabrics. These are a lovely quilting weight cotton, so it's not anything that I'm worrying about. Now, on this, give that one a quick press. Look how it just grips to my mat, perfect. When I'm putting these then right sides together, what I'm doing is I'm making sure, can you see how that is now this way? So that when I sew down along that line there, my foot is just going to go over that. If I was sewing from this direction, it might pucker and rut it, so I don't want it. So when I'm loading these up, I'm doing it coming down that way. Next, And this is just so simple to do. I wanted to make something that was going to be quick and easy, that anybody could do, and that would just delight. That was kind of my remit that I set myself. And I think solar systems, well, it's not like go, oh no, sorry, space, not this year. It's always in fashion, isn't it? And kids will always be fascinated by space. My mum always says that, you know, she broke her heart with my brother when he stood on the back of the sofa and pointed out the window and cried because he couldn't touch the moon when he was a little tot. And she's like, you know, and as a mum, you want to give them the moon. Well, this is kind of the closest thing, isn't it, that you're going to be able to get. And also, I think it was Claire said a brilliant thing that you can tell your kids that because these kind of recharge in daylight. So what you can do is tell your children that you have to lie very quietly under them, and that if you're making a quilt or something, and that recharges it, which I thought was great. Great idea. Oh, I've put that one with the wrong one. Oh, I was just sitting here thinking, oh, did I get that one out first? So that one goes with that. So the plan almost worked. I mean, it did almost work. And then just, honestly, this ironing mat is just great to have it there. Perfect. So then I've got everything lined up over here, ready to go. And it just makes things quick. And that's what I love. Quick, easy, simple makes. Let's go to the machine. And again, I'm just going to chain stitch down here. And this is something that, I mean, yes, I made... For me, I made 2 cushion backs, well, 2 cushion fronts rather. So with loads of fabric left over. So there was enough, should I have wished. Even if I'd taken the orange out and used that just to sash it with. Love this machine, look, I don't have to have any hands and it just takes it straight through. That you've got with your 6 fat quarters, we're very careful when we planned it. 6 fat quarters will make you like a lap quilt, should you wish to do something like that. I always make sure that the kids have a quilt in the car because they seem to find mud everywhere, and then they come into the car and they are freezing cold, soaking wet. So, you know, if they have to be stripped down so that they're not sat in wet, cold, muddy clothes, then they can just go under a snuggly quilt. So what I might do with this is then put a fleece backing on it so that it's nice and snuggly to go in the car, or just to lie underneath while watching TV, or, you know, if you're going to use that glow-in-the-dark quality here to get them to lie quietly in bed and get them off to bed. Or maybe you want to do a reading book cushion where you put in an extra pouch and they can keep their bedtime storybook in there. That's always a nice thing. So then they can sort of snuggle down on with the cushion and listen to bedtime stories. Bedtime stories in our household are they're kind of the sacred thing. They're what happen every night. Everything stops for bedtime story, which is fab. And we've just discovered David Walliams. So we've moved away from Julia Donaldson and the Gruffalo, because Fred is getting a bit older now. And we've just discovered David Walliams. He's like the new Roald Dahl. He's fab, absolutely fab. So that's where we're at. And then I took Freddie to the theatre the other week because they had a David Walliams adaptation at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre for The Boy in the Dress. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So if you do get a chance, I know there are a few more tickets before that finishes in March. Oh yeah, okay, so like this week or whatever. Then get along to see it. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And lovely, I think, to get kids involved in theatre. I might be biased because I worked there for many years. But it was so nice, it was so special to be able to sort of wander down through Stratford and go, and I used to work here, and I worked for the theatre, and I abseiled down the theatre for charity, and I did this and did that, and just, you know, making memories. It's all good. Right. Back to the cutting mat. Da, 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 da. Right, oh, pop those to one side. Let's cut these up. And so you've saved yourself some thread because you've chain pieced, you saved yourself some time because you've chain pieced, all win-win. And also you saved yourself time and effort as well because you used your Stripology ruler. Fabulous, fabulous. So now, do you know what, actually, I'm going to press across so that it took me a long time to learn this, but whichever way you want your seam to go, have that on the top. So set my seam there, and then I want to go off to my plain side because there's already quite a lot going on that side, and then knock that back. And that is my 6-inch block done. Set my seam, open it up, knock it back. I'm using the edge of my iron there to press. And then actually what's lovely about this pressing mat is look at that lovely flat seam. There's no bounce. Often you get a load of bounce with other ones. And this, do you remember, this was just from one little strip, one little 3.5-inch strip off that fat quarter. We've still got loads of fabric left from all of those fat quarters, and this will do us a cushion front. Easy peasy. And you just got to decide really how you want it to go together. You could sash the blocks if you wanted to. Maybe don't cut in with the orange and sash in the orange, because there's orange in each of these, apart from obviously the teal and the grey. But like that's got orange in the zoom bit. But also I had a little play around with if I wanted to put things together in terms of patterns and stuff like that. So I'll show you that in the other cushion that I've made. Here we go. Actually, I've made 6 blocks and I only need 4 for a cushion front. There we go. So then it's a case of deciding how I want to put them together. Actually, this is quite handy, this one. So, do I want to do it so that one of those is then put with one of those, which then means that that would then go with that. So you're sort of creating little L's as you go, which would then mean that that one goes with that, but then that doesn't necessarily work with that. So, you know, have a play. Maybe you want to have everything different. And maybe you want to put that one there. Maybe you want to have that there, and then, oh gosh, decisions. And then that there like that. That's quite nice, quite like that. Or do you want the orange to be separate? Have that there, and then that there. That there and that there. Or spin that around, have that there. Gosh, it's decisions, isn't it? Or however you want to put it together. Have that one there if you want. Or maybe you only want to have one piece of orange in there. You take that out and put... Ooh. Then if I put that one there, then I'd have to change that for that one there. And then that would need to go. So I just end up playing. This is like the hardest part of it for me, is just deciding which bits you want going where. Now, if that's not going to work with that, then I would take that out. Maybe you want to have that in there and have it like that. It's entirely up to you. You've got so much to play with. You know, maybe you want to do something a little bit longer. Maybe you want to sash it. Look, from that one strip, we've still got all of those left. So there's another 3.5 and 3.5 inch there. So you've got more blocks that you can do from there. Plus you've got all of this fabric left. Oh, and I've also cut that. So maybe you want to sash in those. It's entirely up to you how you want to play it, basically. you go for it. You absolutely go for it. So we've got strips. We've done all of that. And then you've got your blocks. Make it up into a lap quilt, make it up into cushions, however you like. But then why not do some sashing and then call them cornerstones? And that's another really easy thing that you can do as well. So if you wanted to do that, then you might want to take your 2.5 inch strip and then put a 2.5 inch square at the end of it. Now, you've got options here. Let's see, why don't we go with this? So again, this is just scrap that we had from earlier. Now, I can go in, absolutely, I can go in here, line that up, and take off 2.5 inch. Yep, absolutely, no problem. I can line that up on its side. I can take off the selvage. And again, I can go right. There we go. 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches there. And I've got that done. Easy, quick. There are my little squares. And then all I would do is then pop that onto that end there, take it to the machine. Bring that back down to here. Give that, you see, running out. Doesn't matter how much space you have, does it? You always run out. So then if you wanted to sash with cornerstones, then this is how you would do that. Set that seam. Then obviously you'd have your other strip coming down there like that. And then let's get ourselves a block. What you would then have is if you wanted to do your cushion cover like that and have cornerstones, then you can sew your blocks together and then have your cornerstone there, sew it along. Have another one, or if you wanted to do it like that and have it. Ooh, what would that look like? Let's mock that up, shall we? So you'd have that there, and then you'd have that coming down there. So you could sash and corner block, couldn't you, every bit? And this is just it. I know that it's nice sometimes to have patterns, but sometimes it's also nice just to play. So you could have your next bit. And this is how I just end up making patterns for things. And so on and so forth. And that is possibly how I would make the quilt. I would take the 3 colours. So you've got, actually you've got 4 different colours to make up your blocks. And then I'd take out the grey and the orange and I would sash and cornerstone. Oh, that's nice. Or I might do that later. Lots of options with this, and makes the cutting so easy. Now, another thing that you can do, which is pretty easy, and let's have a look at that with the Stripology ruler here, is let's get ourselves some more fabric. Let's go with a couple of dark ones like that. Is if you wanted to do edges and borders and stuff like that, then why not? Oh, so I'm going to fold that up, pop that on top, line up my edges, and again, if I've refolded or whatever, I will probably take off just the tiniest bit off that 0 just to make sure that that is absolutely flush. But look, it doesn't move. And look, I've just taken off those bits so that I know I'm starting with a really nice clean run at it. 2.5 inch strip. Now what I'm going to do is sew those right sides together like that, 1/4 inch seam. So if you do have selvage edges, I just tend to match those up. And I'm just going to run 1/4 inch strip down there. Actually, before I do that, no, I'll do it when I come back. Right, let's go to the machine. To the machine, to the machine. Now I tend to go through as soon as I got my Stripology ruler, I went through my stash and I went through all of my scraps, and I just cut them into either 2.5 inch or 1.5 inch strips so that I had a useful stash. And then because I love making log cabin quilts and things like that, and blocks, and just randomly, or if I've got lots of different length scraps, I will just sew them end on end on end and then sort of do like a faux log cabin. But it's then just luck of the draw when the fabric changes, and I quite like doing things like that. So that it is random, because often random is the hardest thing to emulate. But if it actually is random, then you're good. Right, let's press that. Woo! Let us just set that seam. And again, whichever side, so we're basically pressing to the dark side there. And the pressing mat again, giving me that lovely crisp seam as I go. Fab. Now, let's take that now onto here. And I'm going to, what I'm doing now when I'm lining up, instead of lining up that bottom line, my seam here where the two fabrics meet, that is now the line that I'm making sure is lined up on one of these lines. I'm going to take off that selvage, thank you, that can come off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut again every 2.5 inches. All the way along. Now, remember when we looked at like beautiful cafe quilts and stuff like that, and often they'll have a beautiful checkerboard border. Now that looks hard work, doesn't it? Or does it? Because now what I've got is the easiest checkerboard if I want to make that my border. How easy was that? And I mean, I could have done that with 4, it's entirely up to you. And then again, I would just chain piece there, on there, and then just take that to the machine. Easy, easy, easy. Super, super easy. And that's it. You can use your Stripology to do your bijellos, cut all of your pieces like that. Really, really fabulous. And that is the big Stripology. And now you've got that size, and there is another size, which I'm not quite sure where I've put. Have I put it over there? There are varying sizes depending on what. I wanted to introduce you to this one today. Now also Stripology have, which was really handy when I was doing my bird kit, because that was all sorts of funny little pieces, is this. And this is the Stripology Mini. This is great for cutting back small pieces, but whilst the large Stripology comes in 1/2 inch increments, and there is a line so you can move it and get 1/4 inch as well if you want that 1/4 inch increment. With this one, and I'm going to show you this on here, this is your Stripology Mini. Okay, so you can square up your 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch. and in between as well. So again, you've got those 1/2 inch increments. If you look down the bottom there, you've got every 1.5 inch with a star at the bottom, so that when you're working on smaller amounts, you can absolutely do that. Not only that, but you'll see here you've got 1/8 and 3/8. So if you've got to do something that is 1 and an 1/8, then you would line the edge up, instead of at 0, you'd line it up on an 1/8 and then cut on the 1 inch marker. So it's super fabulous for things like that. And then down here on this other side here, that is your 1/4 inch. If you spin it around, then you'll see this dotted line here. You would line your fabric up along there, and then when you make that first cut, you then go up in 1/4 inch increments. So you've got your 1/4 inch there, 3/4 there. If you spin it around, you've got your 1/2 inch in between. And this is what creative grids are so good at. They know the measurements, they know that those sorts of things can really bamboozle us, but that's where they're fab, so that you can do that. You can cut your blocks back, fab. Now I mentioned, and you can do this with this one and with the big one. Let me show you as well how you might want to either cut your bias binding 45 degrees, remember bias binding, or how about if you wanted to do maybe some English paper piecing, something like that. Let's show you this. So, oh, so versatile, so versatile. If you wanted to cut diamonds or anything like that, say you wanted to do your 60 degree, then let me line up. This is my 60 degree line there. And all I'm lining up is my 60 degree line along there. And I'm lining up the 0 here I've got some selvages there. So I'm just going to take that off there. Now, do you remember this was a 3.5 inch strip, wasn't it? So now I go to 3.5 inches here. So I'm going to go for the same size and make that cut. And what I have instantly is perfect 60 degree diamonds that I can just sew along there. And you would sew them in lines like that to then end up having, when you piece all of your bits together, your diamond shapes like that. From one ruler. It's just fantastic. Now, I'm going to bring a lot of creative grids to you. I know a lot of you have them, swear by them, want to build up a collection. So I don't want to do like 18 different rulers in one show, because it's a lot to take in. And also, you know, let's go as pockets allow as well. So for me, a starting point would be to get the rectangular rulers, the Stripology, absolute brilliant one. But let me show you some of the other essentials. So I'm often asked, Natasha, where would you start? Well, Stripology would be where I would start, because you will get so much use out of it and you can just cut so much. And I cut 1/2 meters, just fold them, cut easy. But if you wanted to start with a traditional, I would say a traditional quilting ruler, then this is a great one to start with. So this is 24.5 inches by 1.5 inches by 6.5 inches. And I'm going to show you why that is a great one. Because if you ever have fabrics coming off a bolt and you want to cut strips straight off your bolt like that, and you don't want to have to fold it to use your Stripology, then take a look at this. The reason that this is 24.5 inches, and I told you, they know their stuff, is that fabric coming off a bolt is 44 inches selvage here to salvage that side, and then it's folded there. So when you open that out, that will be 44 inches from that side round to that side there. Okay, so what that means is that with the ruler, yeah, it could just be 2 inches, but 22 inches. But when I start to make a cut, and I've got my rotary cutter, I want to be able to safely put my blade against my ruler off the fabric. I want to then be able to cut onto the fabric, and then I want to be able to safely come off, still with some ruler left there, so that I don't come off at a funny angle at that end point. And that's why 24.5 inch is a great length ruler to have. They are on the website. Then if you're cutting down smaller pieces, then these are fab as well. And these are your 12.5, again, by 6.5 inch rulers. Let me also show you something about Creative Grids. And this is where they're so clever. And I'll do this on a little close-up for you. So, quilters. We use 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch increments, right? So, you will see on here, down this side, all of the black numbers are already 1.5 inches. Okay, so if you want to cut a 2.5 inch strip with this, look, you're not trying to work out, is that half or is that an eighth? Oh, it's already there for you, nice and clear. Or 3.5 inches like we've just done, or 6.5. I could have used this ruler to have cut up my my strips for the pieces that we've just done, the little blocks that we've just done. Really, really easy. And actually here, this non-slip grip is 1/2 inch wide up to that point. So that's another, if you're cutting something 1/2 inch, that's another way to just remember that you've got that there. But 1/4 inch is the other easy one that we use a lot of. So if I just spin the ruler around, what I've now got are full inch increments down there and along there. And this is now 1/4 inch with my inbuilt non-slip grip. Perfect. So if I want to just check, when I'm cutting back half square triangles, I will cut back 1/4 inch. So I will line up along there and then use that to cut. So it's really, really fabulous, I think that. And if you can just see, you can see these little circly bits here. That is your inbuilt non-slip grip. So not only do you have it all the way round the ruler, but you've also got it built in there as well, which is what is going to hold your fabric absolutely in place, because the last thing you want is that shifting anywhere. When that is down, that is it. And you're saying, oh yeah, but Natasha, you've got all of that fabric on it. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. Let me show you this. A little piece of fabric. I want to just cut off a little bit. It's not going anywhere. That fabric is not going anywhere. It's just brilliant. And that is why I love Creative Grids. So these are your starting points, in my opinion, to get the rulers that spin around. You've got your 1/2 inches one way and then your full inch increments the other. They make life so much easier. They're nice and clear, they're safe. And then the stripology, everybody should have a stripology. And it just means that actually you can, the rest of your fabric that you've got left over from a project, cut it into 2.5 inch strips, cut it into 5 inch charm pack squares. It's there for you to do. Whatever sizes you want to make, you can now do it. It saves me time, it saves me money, and it also means that I'm cutting safely, so I'm not slipping off and therefore wasting my fabric. It's an absolute no-brainer for me. So you've got your little stripology as well. And then, yeah, other ones we'll talk about another time are things like this one here, which is your spider's web. And this one, let me show you this, is great for, and I know you laugh at me for bunting, but I do like a bit of bunting. This is absolutely perfect for cutting your bunting strips. But also, if you see here, these are the ideas that you can also make. They are the blocks that you can also make. So you've got 4 different blocks from one ruler. This is going up on the website later, so it will be there for you. But what I will do is I will do like a whole show dedicated to just one ruler so that you can really get an idea as to what you can create with them. So yeah, that is about it this morning. Not a long show, but bringing you Lewis and Irene. I want to bring you top quality brands. That's my remit in my head, is to bring you top quality brands that are just lovely to work with, really good quality. And again, where I can source British, I will. And they are a lovely family-run British company. Creative Grids, again, made in Leicester, family-run company. Quilters, making rulers for quilters. Doesn't get better than that. Safe, durable, really robust. Love them. So that is what I've brought for you today. Next week, gosh, what have we got next week? Sure, I can't remember. I have absolutely no idea. It's a good job that we send you out emails letting you know. And a note on that, because I know some of you go, I can't remember, there's lots of different channels here, there and everywhere. Where can we find you? If you would like a reminder as to what we're doing when, then if you go to my website, details down there, www.natashamakes.com. If you sign up, then you'll be added to our email list, and then we will send you an email when we've got shows coming up and who to expect, because we've got some cracking guests coming up in March and April. In fact, actually booked in for the whole year is looking amazing. So yeah, if you'd like to know about that, that's where to go. Go to the website, sign up. All of the videos are on YouTube as well. So Natasha Makes, if you just search that in YouTube, we have our own channel there and you can watch them there anytime. Josh is working on a page on the website so that you'll be able to find all the videos there as well. Because, you know, when you buy kits or whatever and you need to know how to make them, they're there for you then to do. And also on Facebook, when you go to the Natasha Makes Facebook page, along the top there is a little strip which says posts, photos, and then there's one that says videos. If you click on that, all of the Facebook videos that we've done are all on there for you to access anytime you like. So that's where you can always find us. So yeah, sign up to the website and then we can send you details. And also it's always really lovely for me if, well, firstly, thank you for all of your support and for everybody that buys from us. And secondly, your support can be shown just in a click of a share to get our name out there. So thank you ever so much for watching today. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the fabrics that we've had on the show. And of course, the Creative Grids. There's a lot more to come. Take care. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.